I'm Austin Light with American Demon Comics, and I'm joined by my good friend Brandon with Dismay Comics. We've been kind of discussing a little bit of what we need to catch up on. It's been over a week since the last time we got to talk, and we all want to first congratulate Brandon on his
Thank you.
amazing goal. His outcome of the goal for his Kickstarter, which was very good. I think that was more than you kind of expected. I think you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because at the very beginning, I was like, I knew we'd hit the 750 original goal, but my in-head goal was like, if we hit 1500, I'm cool with wherever it goes from there. Um, but really, like the past 2 weeks, like little over 2 weeks, past 2.5 weeks, I I still value making comics. I still like making comics, and I still like making Gallows Men and stuff like that. But the past 2.5 weeks, there's been priority shifts with me in terms of like what I value and what I don't value, including like when making comics or marketing, what I value and what I don't value. Um, and people may have seen like the last 2 weeks of that campaign, how I wasn't super active on social media and stuff. Like I'd do a post here and there, but not as much as like those first 2 or 3 weeks. It was one of those things where like a lot of events happen in life, like both like you could see some of them as bad, but ultimately like a lot of good came from them. Um, where I just realized like I need to like take a step back and just like I'm thankful and grateful for everyone that has backed it, that has supported it, that does continue to help spread the word and stuff like that, and not be so hung up on like, oh, I got to do all these posts and I got to do all these marketing things, I got to do all these ads just to get one extra backer or two extra backers or this or that or whatever it may be. um yeah, it was one of those things where it's like chill, Brandon. Like that's not where your priorities need to lie. Simply the people that backed it and supported it was and is enough for me. So whatever the dollar amount, like I don't care at this point what the dollar amount was. We could have raised $1,000, could have raised $10,000. Like, yeah, sure. There'd be a little thing where it's like, hey, we hit
A little
$10,000.
thought.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, but like in all honesty, whatever it would have been, I would have been happy because I see the people that supported and backed it, and that's all that matters to me now. Um, it's weird. I'm telling you, the past like 2.5 weeks is not just with comics, just life stuff, just a switch turned on sort of thing.
I got you. That's really awesome because, like you said, we just once it's funded, it's like, wow,
Yeah, yeah.
I have these people that support me enough to have got me here, and that means a lot. And you are had already surpassed funding a week in, so
Yeah.
yeah, once you can kind of get that work life balance uh once it's kind of figured out, so
Yeah.
um but let's be honest though, we could have
The
evened it
poster.
out. We could have evened it out at 80 backers.
Oh, 80. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, that's the thing. Is like, and this isn't like calling out people in specific. If you ran a Kickstarter, you've seen this. Austin, you may have seen this at least once. Like one time, if you look at your dashboard of your campaign, there'll be people that back and then cancel their pledge. For
Mm.
various, I mean, life reasons. Like I don't blame anyone or anything, but there was that last time we recorded. I think the last time we recorded, I had said like this week has been kind of a up and down fluctuation. That week was like cancel, another person back, cancel, another person back, it was like nonstop of that, to where it was even the whole week, but it was like new backers, but then also a
Mm-hmm.
few people canceled, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and towards the tail end of a Kickstarter, like the last day, last two, you'll get a bunch of backers come in, but you'll likely get one or two backers cancel or lessen their pledge, just because,
Mm-hmm.
hey, once it does hit that, like once the campaign is over, their credit card gets immediately charged. So it's one of those
Yeah.
things where they look at it's like, I'm not going to be able to like put food on the table, or I'm not going to be able to do
Mm-hmm.
this or do that, to where they got to pull the pledge. So I completely understand it.
Yeah. I think that the way that my campaign had been going is like it was so far from funding, nobody felt threatened to pull out. So they were kind of shocked once it was.
Once Mel did that pledge, everyone was like, "Oh crap, it's too late."
Yeah. But yeah, I can see how that happens. Especially uh, once supporters and people that enjoy your work and everything, they see that you are funded, and they know that the project will be okay, even if they lessen their pledge or if they
Yeah,
have to,
yeah.
prioritize something else. Um, I wonder if the late pledges would kind of play a good part in that, if you were to um,
I'm I'm
allow for late
considering,
pledges.
yeah, I'm considering on doing that in some future Kickstarters, because I've talked to some people who have done late pledges, because like the late pledge thing for Kickstarter, that's only been around like less than a year.
Yeah.
That it was a new thing they put in. Um, I don't really see like a negative to it if you use it right. Just like there can be certain tiers that like don't have the late pledge thing. Like if you're trying to order specific stuff and all that, whatever, there's specific tiers it ends at that 30 days or whenever the Kickstarter ends. But you can still have certain tiers open for the late pledge, to where a lot of people, or the people I've talked about, they have the late pledge and they usually have like 2 to 3 extra backers come in, but it's like,
Hmm.
doesn't, I mean, like if it doesn't hinder production, like I don't see why not. Like you get extra backer. If you get one extra backer, it's like, hey, like, yeah, that was cool. That was good.
Yeah. Um, well, there's something that I wanted to bring up that we haven't discussed, that we didn't talk about prior. Um, but I'm so on the fence about trying to hold off on Envy being complete and just making a full-fledged storybook uh Kickstarter, or if I should continue to do issues and chapters per update like that, for an individual Kickstarter, every time that happens, because part of me wants to be like, you know get that little extra income per Kickstarter to continue to be able to go to conventions and get extra merchandise and stuff like that. But another part of me is like, once this whole story's done, how many people are going to back it if they already have 10 or 12 issues of the book? And they don't, they're like, well, I already have all of this, I don't need to back it.
Well, with that, it may not be everyone that has all the issues, but there will be a chunk of people that have all the issues that would still get a softback or a hardback like
Hmm.
book of it, as well as like it'll be a new introduction, a new market into people that don't buy floppies, that do only buy trade and stuff, to where it's like, hey, like I'll check this out now. I can put this on my shelf with the spine binding and stuff. So it's ultimately what you want to do. Me personally, I see it as like you're keeping people invested in going with the story by putting an issue out whenever it's finished. That's also like, don't rush it. Like, people that like your stuff, I'm not saying you do this, I'm saying this is what happens to me. People that like your stuff, if it takes a year or two for the next installment to come out, they're happy to wait till then,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not like they're like thirsting like every day that year or two, just like, oh, when's the next book? No, life goes
Mm-hmm.
on. They have stuff to do, and then once that year or whatever comes up, and it's like, hey, I got this new book. They're like, oh, sweet, like this is cool. Um, so it's one of those things where you can keep people invested in going with the story. You're also bringing new people in with each Kickstarter, because each Kickstarter, I'm assuming you'll have like a catch up bundle sort of thing where it's like issue
Yeah.
1 through blank sort of thing. So you'll get new people into it every Kickstarter. Um, and like I said, like, not everyone is going to buy, like, not everyone that has got the single issues, all the single issues, will get the hardback or the softback. A good bit of them will, though. And like I mentioned, you're opening up to a new market of people that only buy softback or hardback.
Well, I've got this this notion to do like merchandise or add-on kind of Kickstarters, like doing an enamel pin
Hmm.
or the uh, okay, so I'll come out with this real quick so that this can be kind of wrapped into it. Um, I am currently doing a workout program uh, based off Envy's physique and what you would want to do to get that physique. Um, it's for advanced people. It's for like you need to have probably been in the gym learning about you how to work out and proper ways of doing exercises, and getting that experience over a year or two before you should do this program. But um, it's a training program based off Envy, and I plan on making it kind of like a pamphlet with referral terms, like what deltoid means and what I shorten that to, what lateral means, what I shorten that to, just kind of like keys and visual demonstrations, and it's all marketed with that demonic sigil kind of stuff all in it, with Envy as a character in there, also doing demonstrations or having like kind of splash things of like her physique or something. So I was thinking about that being a Kickstarter in of itself, and then just continuing to kind of do that and having like one book every 1 or 2 years, um, so that I don't saturate everyone with the story. In
Yeah, I
every
get you.
Kickstarter, they get, they just have the same thing to choose from. Um, but that way, I also can be like to my parents, I'm also making this good side money
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
of this thing I'm working very hard to do.
yeah,
Uh, because that's the main thing. I really wouldn't care too much about the income of it uh, over the next 2 or 3 years. But my parents and like my grandparents, everybody that's, um, I have people come up to me at the gym while I'm working on it. You make any money off of that? And it's the most annoying question.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like one of those pet peeve questions, um, and it's not their fault that they don't get it, but it's like there's so much to it that I would have to explain, and like you also have to understand that it pays itself off 10, 15, 20
yeah.
years from now, um, where hopefully that would be my full-time job.
Well,
you
it's
know. So
also a major mindset thing because, like, I've been faced with that question before. Um, People close to me, like family and stuff, understand my point on it now. Like, they don't really think of the money aspect because they see like how it affects, like specifically like making comics, like how it like it is truly something I love to do. Um, it's with those questions of you make any money on it or how much you make on it, that sort of thing.
hmm
Like I'll be honest with people and be like, yeah, this isn't even like a secondary form of income, man. Like I get a tiny bit from it, but no, this isn't like, by no means, it's not main income, it's not even secondary form of income. It's one of those things where it's just like the income that it does have is more a personal, mental, spiritual income for me, where
hmm
it builds me and heightens me more than this job over here that gets me $50,000 or
yeah.
$100,000 or $250,000 a year. I'm not making a monetary income on this, but my God, like personally, it has built me up so much more than that over there could.
hmm
I've strived for that over there. I nearly had that over there, but it's not what made me, what built me, what like actually matters at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
yes, I'm not saying like discount money. No, no, no. Like, money's a big thing, especially if there's family involved. If you're wanting to support yourself, that sort of stuff. But no, that's not where like my intentions lie with like a passion like this, like comics. Like if I make money on this one day, hey, great. Awesome. If I don't make money on this or any of my writing, that's also okay, cuz like I just love doing this. And I know people won't understand it if they have that central money mindset of like, well, life is about just rising to the top and getting more and more money and stuff like that. It's like, you're not going to get it right now. Like, maybe one day you'll get it, but you don't get it right now of like where I'm at with this.
Well, also for m- for me and for my part of like how my family see it, they like um you're not in quite this situation, but prices are going up
Oh
everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
Minimum my I make pretty good at the gym. Um, I'll say I make 20 an hour at the gym, just about,
hmm
almost, and that is crazy for a small town gym. It's because
especially
it's
Alabama, just
yeah,
Alabama in general.
it's part of the the hospital system,
hmm
so it has physical therapy in there, and then we just have like the benefits of like being part of the hospital. Um, I did a lot to get to that point because it
Yeah,
starts
yeah,
out at 12 an hour, like real basic. Um, but somebody retired that had been working there a long time, so they gave me a decent raise when I got that position. They gave me a raise for having prior experience. I had worked about 5 to 6 years at the gym before. They gave me a raise for having certification and a degree, and they gave me a raise for getting another certification. And then they gave me a raise for this program that the hospital does called Plus 10. So you can add on 10% to your base pay. Um, and that comes with some caveats on like your time off that you get and your insurance benefits, but you still get insurance and stuff. So that all worked out with me. And that happened over the course of about a year and a half or 2 years. And so I'm in a really good spot to be making these comics. I still can't get like I can still barely pay on my car.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got all these payments that are going on, and and I've got two kids, and my family gets, kind of there. I've been living in the same place for 10 years, saying every year, I'm like, I'm gonna move out. Like, this
Mhm.
is the year, and then I can't. So they're a little excited for me to be able to officially be on my own. Me getting a car was a big deal, and I have been able to pay that, but it also still holds me back from getting like a place of my own or a house or anything like that. And so money is a big deal for
Oh,
just
yeah,
putting
yeah,
food on the table. And
yeah.
like they're concerned that, or they may be concerned. They're not like unsupportive. Um, but when I'm able to tell them, oh, my Kickstarter, this thing, that they're like, we don't understand what you're telling us at all. Like, we don't get that. They
Yeah.
just heard the money part.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so,
That's what most people will hear. Yeah,
yeah.
whenever I tell someone what I make on a Kickstarter, they don't give they don't give a crap about the comic and stuff. It's like, oh, you made thousands on it. Okay, that's nice.
hmm um, and which all that money went to printing,
It goes, yeah, yeah. It goes back into
shipping,
it. Yeah,
t-shirts. Um, I was able to sign up for another convention with some of that money. So it all does play back into the business, and like it will all rapidly be gone
yeah,
very
yeah,
quickly. But that is money not out of my own pocket that I had to spend on my passion
yeah, yeah.
business. So that's money I do get to keep and put towards groceries and
Building
stuff
it.
like that. Yeah, and
Yeah,
and then the money that I do get out of the Kickstarter goes towards the expansion um, of the comics. So it's just I do want to continue to be able to have these receipts from my parents, like, oh, I
yeah, yeah,
made 1,000 this month, and then 3 months later, oh, I made another 1,000 off this thing.
yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. But like I said, I don't want to saturate people with I don't know how many issues Envy's going to be. It could be 15 issues. I'm looking at trying to wrap it up within 300 pages. Um, and, you know, that would be a lot of issues, 20 or 30 pages at a time.
Yeah.
So um, I'll probably just make bigger issues, one book a year or something like that. But I want to try and get these smaller projects in between.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a good idea because like Gallows Man, for example, I'm not saying it's my magnum opus or anything like that. By no means am I not saying that. But it is one of those things where it takes time to make each issue for that because it is just I mean, it is Thomas and Rick, but they've already done their stuff. The cover stuff has been done. It is just me and Helen
hmm
for these books. Um, and life happens like we were talking about, like our main source of income isn't this, so we have to make sure in terms of providing for ourselves and our families, we're able to do that first, and then we're able to really focus on this stuff.
hmm
um, this is yes this is a very top priority for us, but family and what we need is above that. Like we got to take care of that before we hit this, and then once we do that, once we take care of that, then we're able to actually get into this and really give it all, which it's not saying we aren't giving it our all, but that's where priorities need to lie for anyone. I know there are some creators out there that their whole life is focused on comics. And what I mean by that is, yes, you can say that, like I can say, me, Brandon, I'm focused on making comics. My life is focused on making comics. That's not like my whole life though. Like what I truly value is my family, my friends, spending time with those people. because like that time you're not going to get back. Um, so spending time with them, and then the comics.
Mm-hmm.
That's a key thing, and there's a lot of creators out there that don't have that focus or that time spent on things that truly are significant. I'm not saying our comics aren't significant, they are, but people are more significant than us and what we're trying to get out there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
um, but if you're able to have that balance, it's very, it keeps it, not only like not only does it keep you going without burnout and stuff like that, but it also, like, your writing is better. Like, or
Mm-hmm.
at least for you, I'll say this, at least for you as the creator, it is better. You're more happy with it when you are in a state of, I'm not saying we're always in a state of happiness, but a state of
Well, you're not
the
burning yourself
best
out.
term. Yeah, yeah, you're not burning yourself out. You're in a state of almost contentment with life.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean like you're just wanting to stay in a place. I'm
Right.
blanking on the word, but there's a difference between contentment and just just falling into a plateau. Contentment
Yeah.
is I'm okay with where I'm at.
You're
Hey,
settling.
I'd like to get higher. That'd be cool if
Mm-hmm.
I got higher. I'd like to get higher. But I am okay with where I'm at. Like, contentment doesn't mean you stop striving. You still strive. Like, you're still striving for contentment, or you're still striving wherever you're going, but you are okay with where you're at, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a crucial thing that I hope creators can. And me saying this doesn't mean like it's gonna, if someone's listening out there, that it's gonna like hit in or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. But at some point in life, it will, where you do realize this sort of stuff, where uh, I do love this stuff, my creative outlet of making comics and stuff, but there has to be that balance. And when there is that balance, that stuff is even better, or it's at least better to me as the creator.
Yeah. It's if you can continue to have a unstressed life, which sometimes your turmoil can feed into for some people, that
Oh yeah, yeah,
creativity that it's like the outlet.
it's an
But
outlet for sure. Yeah.
sometimes it's more like, if you can't balance everything and you're trying to make this thing work, you're not giving it your best. So
Hmm.
um so yes, it does play into the quality of your projects and everything.
Oh yeah.
Um, and two, getting to enjoy life with these people also is an outlet that goes into the creative process. These people can be their own inspirations and parts of the puzzle. Uh, and you can also go watch a movie with your friends and laugh and have a good time while you
Yeah.
take silent notes about
Yes.
what the movie did wrong and what it did right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I want to say,
Yeah.
I can't remember. I want to say it was as a quote from one of the band members from like Led Zeppelin or something, but he was like, "If you don't have any input, you don't have any output." So uh,
That's true.
I kind of go by that sometimes.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, that's spot on with pretty much everything in life. Like, tackle relationships. I don't mean like yes, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, but I just mean relationships as a whole, friendships,
Hmm.
acquaintanceships, this, that, boss, employee, all that sort of stuff. Without that input, it's not going anywhere. Without that communication, without that openness, and I understand we have to be okay. We have to be careful with how much we're open to some people. I completely understand that. There's some people you have to You have to you know them decent enough to where it's like, maybe I can't say this, or I shouldn't say this or talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying like political stuff or this or that. I just mean there's some things where it's like, this isn't the person to talk about that with, sort of thing. But if you are able to have that input, put that input in there, in those relationships, in those friendships, those acquaintanceships, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, um, you're able to have a greater output from you inputting your thing, the output also being them also being open and being willing to like just talk about this and whatever it may be, like just that communication, that input output, uh but it all starts with you, listener. It all starts with you.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm going down like some like Mr. Rogers crap right
No, it's all true. It's all true. I just want to see if we can get to what we have been working on is the mini Halloween comic.
Yes.
So Brandon's got
Some
his that
here.
he's made. Mine are at my workplace where I occasionally just start folding. But they're very nice little pieces of comics. It's really interesting. I'm really proud of this being in our portfolio.
I am as
My
well.
portfolio of art. But
Like I'm really happy for this. Of a lot of the writing I've been doing lately, not talking about Galsman. Galsman's been written and stuff. Like it's a long time ago that was written. But of some of my most recent writing, this is like something I'm like really proud of because sure, it is like a little it's a little meta story, that sort of thing. Beyond just the story, which both Austin did really great on the art, and the printing came out very well. It looks great. Um, but aside from that, just like the for me, it's the story of it. I don't mean the story that you see in here, but the story of how it was made. Like I had mentioned before, how it was one of those things where shortly after Halloween last year, Halloween 2023, or maybe it was a little bit before, I can't remember. We were talking about like I brought up like, like I wish there were some publishers that like made like these mini comics that you could just like buy super cheap and then give out on Halloween and stuff for trick or treating. Cause like we had talked about like, hey, we want to like it'd be cool to get people into comics that don't walk into a comic shop.
Mhm.
Um, and we were talking about that. I brought up Diamond used to have like the multi packs and stuff that you could buy and do all that. Um, but then I don't know, it was maybe it was that same conversation. Austin had brought up like, well, like why not just do it yourself, sort of thing, or that's essentially what he said, and like that lingered in my head for at least a couple days, where I was like, yeah, why not? Like if you see something, if you see, I'm not saying it's like a universal need, but if you see a need or something that would be cool to be out there, that you just, it's like, hey, like where is this? Like it's like, yeah, like you do it, sort of thing. It's one of those
Mhm.
things where if you've been in any type of leadership role in employment or group projects or anything like that, there's sometimes a time where you're faced with like, well, if no one else is going to do it, or if I don't see it out there, I guess like if, and it was also this, if I'm going to bring it up, that's a better example. If you're at a meeting with people or
Mhm.
whatever, And it's like, if I'm going to bring it up, like, and then the boss or whoever is like, oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, why not you do it since you brought it up, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But then you think about it, it's like, yeah, why not do it? So that's where it started. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I wrote the script back in January or February. We've been working on it, fine tuning. Austin did the art. Austin did great decisions on his part that I'm glad we didn't go with decisions that I had originally, like the whole Charlie Brown type layout and stuff. I think this is way better than that initial thing. But yeah, it was one of those things. I'm not saying this is like groundbreaking, people. I'm not saying the comic is groundbreaking, but what I admire and why I am so proud of this, of our collaborative effort, is one, our collaborative effort on it. I'm so happy to make this with Austin, and to like actually hear someone out regarding tweaks or edits or shifts that ultimately make it better, and putting like my own ego or whatever aside and just look at it as like what would be better for the story and what would be better as us as like a collaborative team sort of thing. um so that, as well as just like this sort of thing, like, has me excited to go to a comic shop. Like, I made a post, um when someone's listening to this, it's going to be days ago when I made the post, but I made a post this morning on Instagram and Facebook regarding this. And I had mentioned that Austin and I, like, trick or treating, I'm not going to be like able to do hand out candy and stuff trick or treating because I'm going to be on a road trip with my grandparents at that time. But what I am going to do though is I'm going to fold and tightly crease and all that stuff 100 of these. Um, and I'm going to go to the 3 local comic shops near me. One of them has a big thing for indie comics. I'm going to give them 50 copies of it. I'll give 25 to the other and 25 to the other. And what I'll do is I'll just say, like, hey, like, these are yours. Like, you can just give them out to customers, or if you want to charge $1 for them, you can charge $1 for them, and you keep that profit. Like, you keep whatever you make
Mm-hmm.
on it if you charge $1 on them. um I that I like a lot, as well as like
Yeah.
that indie shop. Me doing this, I actually want to, like, because I've seen all the indie stuff they have, and with it being spooky time, like, I want to, when I give them the 50 copies, I want to be like, hey, like, could I also put like Dismay Avenue 1 and 2
Mm-hmm.
into your store? And with that, I don't want to like give that away, but if we can work a good deal, like, I'd be happy to put that in the store as well. Um, so I don't know. It's one 6-page, really 8 pages if you count front cover and back cover. One 8-page little comic uh, has helped shape some of my mindset on making comics.
Well, the the whole process was really fun. And I'd never got to collaborate. And getting to work with somebody else was really uh, enlightening and helped get an idea of what uh, all this kind of usually goes on behind the scenes when you're working with multiple people. There's usually this back and forth. What about this? And then what about this? And if this goes here, then this needs to also work here. So it was really helpful like that. It was also a good way to get to flex my like cartooning, like the
Mhm.
actual like making a sillier thing rather than the the more serious stuff, and that was really fun getting to explore. Uh, and out of it came like some really fun characters to draw, like uh, this clown.
Yeah.
Was fun because I got to give all the kids a little personality, and um, the the other two stomp off, raging about their candy, and then the clown's just kind of like, I,
I'm sorry, I gotta go with them for that. And
yeah.
yeah, it's little touches like that that like if someone, I'm not saying like someone, if they get this on Halloween, they're going to read this like 5 times back to back or whatever. But if they pick it up, it's one of those things where they'll notice little things. Like I, for people that read comics, I assume they will notice on the comic convention table, they'll notice they'll look at the whole image aside from just reading the text, and they'll notice like the candy bowl and that it's empty and that there's no candy sort of thing. Someone that doesn't read comics, I don't expect them to notice that the first time. But if they read it later down the road, or read it the next day or whatever it may
Hmm.
be, there's little things that people will notice that they didn't notice before. And I'm not saying like that's like groundbreaking on our part of like, oh, like look what we did. It's more just showing like the for people that may have thought about making a comic before, or I think that's a good way. People have thought about making a comic before, or just doing some sort of creative venture before, and they're like, where the crap do I start? As well as like, this is a lot, this is too much for me, I don't know where to start. All this stuff looks like extremely professional and all this, where do I start? Like, I think this will be a good little thing for people to see, like, hey, like comics doesn't have to be, and I'm not, this is a better one to choose. I'm not going to pick an indie comic because I'm trying to make a point. Comics don't have to be like an image, like a 6.88 by 10.5
Hmm.
staple bound 20-page book. That you have to get from a printer. You got
Yeah,
to do this. You got to do that. Um,
and it doesn't have to be in the newspaper.
it doesn't have to be in the newspaper. It's simply something that you can make. Um, like it's yes, there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff with me and Austin in making this, and with someone when they make a comic or make some sort of piece of art or creativity, there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes stuff regarding like if someone just gets this, they won't know all that stuff, but you will as the creative. But I don't know. It's one of those things where like I if and I'm not saying this will like make future comic creators. I'm not saying that. What I do hope it does though for at least one person is have them realize like, hey, like being creative can look in a like many different ways,
Yeah,
as well as like
yeah.
also why I don't want to staple it, because this is someone else's. If they, I'm not going to unfold this because I tightly folded this. If they unfold it all, they'll realize it's just one sheet of paper.
Hmm.
It's just one sheet of paper. Like that's a big reason why I didn't want to staple it, because one, I do think it looks good not stapled,
Hmm.
but also so they can unfold it and realize like, oh, like this thing, like again, I'm not saying this is the best thing since sliced bread sort of thing, but they'll look at it, they'll be like, oh, like this is a nice little comic, this is a cute little comic, this is funny, or I really like the art. They'll notice that, and then if they unfold it, they're like, oh, like they did all that just with one sheet of paper.
Hmm.
And maybe it'll get the gears going for some people being like, oh, like it's not as hard or super far out to do this sort of thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, And Envy on my website is a web comic. Um,
Hmm.
that's really what I want to bank on, is the success of it as a web comic being able to be shared uh, to people online. So that's the whole other form that a comic can come in, and you don't even need a sheet of paper if you've just always been a digital person, and you've just dabbled in some art, or maybe you've done some writing, and you can make stick figures be funny. It's been
Hmm.
proven time and time again. So it's just one of many ways that the format works.
Yeah, it's just one of those things and I'm not saying like this is that movie, but someone I really look up to as a creator. I'm not saying he's like made some of my favorite movies. I do like a lot of his movies, though. Like Kevin Smith. Like I know he's divisive with some people, um, because I see a hint of laziness or whatever in some of his later stuff or whatever it may be. But the guy has done a lot. First with film regarding like he wasn't the first one to do this, but he was the first one to the masses to show like, oh, like this is possible for the little guy to like make it. Like I don't have to go to Hollywood and like be like, I need $1 million.
Hmm.
Like I know that sounds like I just need $1 million to make this. No, like the guy used what he had. He also like did multiple things. He like maxed out. I'm not saying people do this for your comics or anything like that, but he maxed out credit cards. He hurricane came through or flood came through. That's what it was. Flood came through, destroyed his car. He got a FEMA check for that. He used all these different things. He sold uh, a good chunk of his comic collection to raise most of the funds for making this thing that he wanted to make. Um, and I'm not saying like someone's comic or someone's movie will cost this. Is just an example. It was like 27,000 is all the funds that he collected to make this thing that he had always wanted to make. He made Clerks, and it just went from there. And I'm not saying if someone like go out and do all that stuff to have this, because I'm not saying that will happen to you. The Clerk story of like, hey, you made it, and then a year later it gets picked up, and now you're a part of the Hollywood landscape, or you're a part of the big comic landscape regarding comics or whatever. But it just shows that the little guy can do it.
Hmm.
Like the little guy can do it as well as be proud with what they do. Because I'm not saying anyone's going to have the Clerks boom of oh, I'm going to have this fame and success. What you will have though is this thing that you will look at the rest of your life and be like, I'm so glad I did do that though.
Hmm.
Like I'm so glad like I it wasn't, again, I've mentioned this on previous shows and stuff. It wasn't the Shia LaBeouf thing of like don't let your dreams be dreams. Like don't let them be dreams. And I know as corny as it is, like I know Shia LaBeouf isn't, he's in some very controversial stuff nowadays. But back then when he made that video, regardless of the person, the message was true. Just do it. Like that's, and with whatever you have, just do it, because you're going to get such benefit from it, personal benefit. You'll get such personal benefit from having done it instead of not doing it, because then you'll look back on life in the future where you'll think, what if I did do this before? Like don't have regret, essentially is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But
Because even if it didn't work out, and maybe you didn't have fun making it like you thought you would. You've learned that about
You
yourself, you know.
that's how it worked out though. You've built yourself, you've learned from yourself of who you truly are. So it may not have worked out monetarily, it may not have worked out regarding like, oh, I thought this is what I wanted to do, but really it's not. How it did work out is you built yourself.
Hmm.
You have discovered yourself even more than you did previously. And that's the ultimate thing that we all can have in common on this rock that we live on, regardless of this, that, regardless of religion, regardless of politics, whatever it may be. Like, we're all just discovering who we truly are and making it making it through this rock that we're on, sort of thing.
It's all
Like,
just trial and error.
it's all trial and error.
That's always it's ever always has been.
Yeah, that is life. Life is trial and error. But if you can one day, I'm not saying when that error happens, when that failure happens, you'll instantly be like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. It's going to suck. Like a failure does hit
No, it feels.
immediately.
Mm-mm.
It hits immediately, and it might last. That feeling might last for a little while, days, weeks, maybe even years. But there will be a point at your life where you will look back on it and you will see, like, I have grown a lot from that. Like I have learned so much from that. Um, and that's the ultimate benefit from it.
Right on. Um, yeah, I have nothing else to put in on that. I mean, it's really it's hard, but it's simple. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's the way a lot of things are. Even uh, a lot of working out and training, it can be very straightforward and simple, but it can be so hard.
yeah,
Do 100 push-ups within 5 minutes. That's really simple concept to understand and get. It's very hard to do.
yeah, yeah,
So, um, you know, you can only try to strive to uh, be better at that. And the more you do the simple things, the better you understand the complicated things.
exactly.
So, um, but uh, that's pretty much the pinnacle of that. And I I want to get into this uh, project. So um, I want to end off on Brandon has been very uh,
Hush,
what's the
hush.
word? Hush hush. It's almost like subtle. What's the word? There's a word for it, but he's been kept me and anybody he's ever talked to about it in the dark, other than his collaborators. But there's a project that he has been working on with some others, and why don't you tell us more about that? As this has, I think the Kickstarter is coming up. This
Yes, I'm actually pulling up the pre-launch page now just so I don't fumble my words when I'm actually talking
you
about the
can
project.
share it.
Yeah. Hold on,
Do
let
the
me
share
see.
screen.
Um, let's see. Let me get it up here. That's what she said. All right, let's see.
Youth pastor, everyone.
Dude, I am around talking to teenagers all the day. That's all I hear. I don't hear it as much anymore because that's a very old thing. The that's what she
Yeah.
said sort of thing. But in like 6-7 years ago, I would hear that at least once a day, sort of thing. Um, Classic joke. All right, let me do this real quick. Share screen. Let's see. Okay. I think it's sharing. Let me know if it is or not because I can't see you.
I had to pull it. I can. it's added to the stage, just like we are,
Okay, I gotcha.
and so I can put it up here.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me see if I click here, does it go away? Okay, it's still there. Thank you. I was trying to make sure I could still see you. All right. So this project that Austin had talked about that I've been very hush hush about, especially talking in a public forum. I've talked to Austin about it some. I've talked to other people about it some, but regarding online and public forum, I was very quiet about it. Myself, Comic Journey, who is a YouTuber, Tate Prime, Siren, also known as Matt Adkins, and a tattoo artist. Matt's also a professional tattoo artist, but another tattoo artist, Ben Frazier, who has worked in comics before. Like he's done stuff for Marvel, DC, and a slew of other things. He's been out of it for a little while, but we all have had this collaborative effort of making this project, the Shift Project. It's the Shift, but this initial book is the Shift Project. And the reason we call it the project, I'll mention right here, like right here, the little Kickstarter pre-launch page synopsis is a story and worlds are formed from 4 artists taking one writer's script and each building their own vision from it. And this is the Shift. So ultimately, I'm the writer. I'm the writer of it all. And I really like the story. The story is like where it's going, where these worlds, this universe. I'm not saying like multiverse sort of thing. I mean universe as in like us making comics sort of thing. Where this is going is extremely fascinating. I'm biased there. I'm the writer. The thing that I love the most about this is the concept itself of one writer writing a script and then 4 artists taking that script and doing their vision of the script. To where someone had mentioned it before. I was a little bit like when I first heard it, I was like, oh, I like how you said that. But they didn't say it in a mean way. It was actually, this is a pretty decent way to describe it. We've had variant covers in comics before. Like variant covers, how like you have this cover, then you have this person do their cover of the thing, like a Spider-Man comic. It has like 3 or 4 different covers sort of thing. We've had variant covers. We've never had variant interiors before. And someone had mentioned that, and that was the thing where I was like, hey, hold on. But it is true that's in terms of an elevator pitch way of saying it, that is a good way to describe it. Of it's this story, but it's variant interiors, and very much it's I can't say too much on the story itself because people will have to read the first issue when it comes out in January. But I'll say it's dystopian. I know that's very vague. That's extremely vague. But I have to be kind of vague because it plays into the story, and it also plays into these branches that each person has with this same script, because it looks very different per person's vision of that script. So it's one of those things where whether this is like it takes off after this and we're doing all this stuff like because another thing we want to do is, this is not only a thing for me and these 4 artists. I should just say it's not just a thing for us 5, because we're all equal parts in this. It's not just a thing for us 5. We want to expand these worlds, this universe, and this concept specifically. We want to expand it and also bring in artists, and then in the future bring in writers who are interested in like this weird concept of creation. Like because again, the story, I really like the story. These all tie in narratively. All of the stories tie in together narratively, the thing I love the most is the concept, though, of just something we haven't seen in comics before. Like me and the guys, like we've talked about it. We were trying to think, like, have we truly seen something like this before? Where it is the same script, but the same script does tie in each time. Same script, but each person's own vision on the script. We're like, can't think of a specific thing that is exactly that.
Yeah.
So
So I have a question.
yeah.
Um, I feel like this is really interesting on an initial, very first issue. But once you have all of them, all versions of it out on the first issue, now people's perception of it is going to shift as is each artist is going to look at each other artist's version of it. Do you think that that will morph something that kind of comes together each time the script is released? Each one starts to look a little bit more similar.
No. And like it might. I do get what you're saying. Well, first I'll mention this. So whenever we had this idea, I wrote the script, I sent it to everyone. A key thing that we said was none of the artists get to see each other's work till it is completely done, till they're
Right.
completely done with their pages. So they didn't have any influence from each other from there. I was the only one that saw all the stuff. But I do get what you're saying of like, now that everyone has seen each other's work, will it possibly influence how they are doing their story or their vision going forward? That's a good thing to point out, because what we will likely do is one person might branch off and do their version of this arc or this story and wrapping it up or finishing up, while there are other points that can go on. And we can bring in other writers, other artists and stuff. A key thing we do want to have is at least one of the founding members, because we've talked about spin-offs, as well as like what I mean by spin-offs is more like stuff like, I'm not saying it would be this, but stuff like the shift colon subtitle sort of thing. The shift subtitle. It all ties in together, but it's going over here, it's going over there. Key thing we do want to keep is whatever we're doing, at least one key founding member from this whole thing is always attached to it. Whether it's me as the writer, whether it's one of these four guys as the artist is attached to it. And we can always bring in new writers, new artists sort of thing to, like you said, to possibly prevent that subconscious wanting to
Evolution.
formulate this person's art style because they saw the other person's art style.
Yeah.
To avoid that from happening, we're probably likely going to go that route. But
well, Brandon, I want to say that you've piqued my interest.
Well, that's the thing. We've talked about it with some comic shop owners. We've also talked about it with like some artists and stuff. And like at the very least, everyone is like, okay, I'm interested. Will it land or not? I'm not sure. But I am very interested in this concept, in this idea. So that's what we. Oh, go ahead.
How many pages per issue do you think this would average?
So with this initial one, this was essentially how we first established it when we were thinking about it and expanding this and stuff. We said with the first thing, essentially the one shot that would then branch off into this much, much bigger thing. With this one shot, 24-page book, but each person 6 pages. Like it's same script. It's the same 6-page script, but each person's vision is completely different from that script. So this initial one, essentially the proof of concept of the concept sort of thing, is 6 pages each. In the future, uh, we've talked about it. It could go. We could still do this with different artists and stuff of like 24-page book or 32-page book where each person is doing 6 or 8 pages. Like it's what I mean
Mm-hmm.
is the script itself is 6 or 8 pages, but the way it's written, it ties all of them together. Um, and then each artist is doing 6 or 8 pages sort of thing, and that makes the book. Um, then we've also talked about like full on 22 page script, um, where essentially each book, this truly is like variant interiors. Each
Mm-hmm.
book is different. It's like, oh, I have a Comic Journeys version of the Shift subtitle, and it's like, oh, I have Matt's version of the Shift subtitle. Same script, but the vision is completely different based on their art styles and based on how they see the script. Um, and then we've also talked about like going giant routes of like graphic novel wherever, but that's
Mm-hmm.
this is like dream sort of stuff where
Right.
it's very 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 far away. We're right here right now, uh getting the proof of concept out and going from there.
Gotcha. Well, this looks awesome, and the pre-launch page is up, so everybody can go notify on the launch.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll come
right
out
now.
it'll come out sometime in January is when the
Okay, so
Kickstarter will hit,
it's a few
likely
months.
mid January. But we wanted to have this up so people can go ahead and like do the notify me on launch thing. That way, you don't even have to think about it for the next 3 months. And then once it launches, you'll get the email and you can go ahead and start backing, sort of thing, or at least
Gotcha.
just check out the campaign page at least. It's 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 one of those things where whether this lands, and what I mean by lands, whether it goes into what we see as a vision of like writers and artists collabing on this thing that like is just hasn't, at least the concept has not been seen in comics. Like whether it lands or not in terms of that greatness that we can see, we're just happy and excited like we have this. We're
Mm-hmm.
putting this out there, and whether it lands or not, this is an awesome thing that we have out there, conceptually at
Yes.
least. I'm
Yeah.
biased with the story, but conceptually it's an awesome thing out there. um, so yeah, like people, by the time you're listening to this, I wrote it on my to-do list for today. um, by the time you're listening to this, you can go to the Dismay Comics Facebook or Instagram page. The link to the pre-launch page will be there, so you can go there, click notify me on launch, that sort of stuff. And then we have Split Vision Press social media stuff. There's Split Vision Press Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's all Split Vision Press. Um, that's our collaborative effort. Um, but yeah, you can go to those, follow those. By the time that you're listening to this, there should be at least one social media post on Instagram or Facebook. I haven't done those yet because I needed to just grab them real quick. Because also Comic Journey, he's going to New York Comic Con this weekend, and he has a bunch of ash cans to give out at New York Comic Con, like bootleg ash cans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be giving those out. And on the back, it's got the QR code that goes directly to the pre-launch page and stuff. So it's it's going to be good. And if people want to email or anything, we've got an email as well, splitvisionpress@gmail.com. People can check that out. Here, I'll click stop sharing my screen.
Well, I wanted to like make both of us bigger, but also keep the
Oh yeah. No,
launch
that's
pin.
no
But
problem.
that's all
Yeah,
right.
people can check out all that stuff. if you don't have to follow the Split Vision Press stuff, you can if you want to. You can follow my account or some of the other guys' accounts, and the links will be in our bios and stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be so cool. And I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Is there anything that you wanted to also mention?
But I guess like one thing, if you if you back the Gallows Man, the Kickstarter, if you got a physical tier, you'll get one of these in your order. It wasn't advertised on the Kickstarter or anything, but me and Austin had talked about before. Like, yeah, everyone that backed physically, you'll get a Halloween comic.
I have a feeling these things will be haunting us for a few years.
yeah, we each have basically 500 copies apiece. That's the thing, is like over the next 2 months, with me dropping these off at Halloween or at comic shops, as well as doing the Kickstarter stuff, like putting them in Kickstarters, I'll probably have put out 150 of them within the next 2 months. I'll still have 350 left, so that is going to last me for at least a couple years. So
we might try and find somebody that's giving out candy and do that. Last year we went trick or treating ourselves, which was a lot of fun. But
it's fun, yeah.
But yeah, putting it over at the comic shop next to their candy bowl or something, being like, hey, you can get these out or sell them. That's that's an awesome idea too. So I'll probably be doing that as well. But you all have been watching the American Dismay podcast. I'm Austin Light with American Demon Comics, and I've been joined by Brandon with Dismay Comics. And we will catch you all on the next episode.
Take care.